You ever have that feeling, you're putting in the work at the gym, maybe even more than you used to, but the results just aren't showing up like they did in your 20s? It's super frustrating, right? Well, today, we're going to dig into the science behind exactly that, the whole over 40 muscle dilemma. And we're going to talk about this idea of a switch that could, maybe, change everything.
Okay, check this out. We're starting with a quote from a guy named Paul M. And wow, is that a bold statement or what? It really makes you stop and think. What on earth could make someone feel like they're getting high school level gains again? It's a huge claim. So let's dive into the actual problem that something like this is trying to solve.
And here we are at the heart of the matter, the over 40 strength dilemma. You know that feeling, right? When you realize the simple old rules, eat well, train hard, they just don't seem to pack the same punch anymore. And let me tell you, it is not just in your head. Something really does change on a fundamental level.
So here's the bottom line. After a certain age, your body's own muscle-building factory, it just starts to slow down. This has nothing to do with how hard you're working. It's a straight-up biological shift, and it turns staying strong and toned into this constant uphill battle. But believe me, this is about way more than just how you look.
And this is where things get really interesting, and honestly, a little alarming. The data shows that losing just 10% of your muscle mass, that can double, literally double, your risk of getting seriously hurt from a fall. So all of a sudden, we're not just talking about biceps. We're talking about our long-term health, our balance, our independence as we get older. It's a big deal.
So what's really going on here? What's the hidden reason for all this? Well, the source material we're digging into today points to this really fascinating idea, this concept of a muscle switch that's inside all of us. Let's unpack what that actually means.
Okay, so the fancy scientific name for this switch is mTOR. It's just a natural enzyme that's already in your body. And for most of your life, its job is to give the green light for muscle growth. I like to think of it as the foreman on a construction site, the guy who tells the crew when to build.
And this right here, this shows you the big shift perfectly. Before you hit 40, that mTOR switch is pretty much always flicked to on. Your body is a super efficient machine. It takes the protein you give it and just builds muscle. Easy. But then, after 40, that switch starts getting stuck in the off position. Suddenly your body is struggling to use that same protein, and building muscle, even recovering, it gets so much harder.
So if the problem is a switch that's turned off, then the solution seems pretty straightforward, right? You got to find a way to flip it back on. And that's exactly what the source material we're looking at suggests. It proposes a solution that's built around two very specific ingredients that are designed to do exactly that.
So, ingredient number 1 is called dileucine, or sometimes you'll see it as peptide DL185+. And its whole purpose, supposedly, is to go right to that mTOR switch and basically give it a jolt, signaling it to ramp up muscle building. It's like telling your muscles, all right, guys, break time's over, time to grow.
And the claim that goes along with this is, well, it's huge, a 159% boost in what's called muscle protein synthesis. I mean, that's the actual process of your body repairing and building new muscle. So we're talking about seriously amplifying that signal.
All right, now for part 2 of this 1-2 punch. It's called MyHMB. And if you think of isoleucine as the offense, actively building muscle, then MyHMB is the defense. Its whole job is to protect the muscle you've already got and stop it from breaking down so fast, which is something that naturally happens as we age.
And the number they attach to this defensive action? A 57% reduction in muscle loss. So you see what they're doing here? It's a two-pronged attack. One ingredient to go on the offensive and build, and another to play defense and protect.
Okay, the science is cool and all, but what did this actually mean for you in the real world? Let's decode these promised results and see what kind of benefits you might actually feel and see.
Now this is where it gets really compelling. We're looking at hard data from a clinical study here. See the placebo group on the left? Now look over at the group that was taking DL185+. The folks taking the active ingredient added an incredible 133 pounds to their leg press. That is almost 3 times the gains of the placebo group. I mean, this chart just spells out the difference right there. And it's not just about what you can do in the gym. The promised benefits are supposed to spill over into your everyday life. We're talking about things like your muscles just feeling firmer, looking more defined, having more real-world strength for, carrying groceries or playing with your kids. Noticing your balance and posture better. Bouncing back faster after you're active, and just having more energy day in and day out. And I think this quote from Allison M. really nails that whole idea. It's not just about how much you can lift. It's about that overall feeling of feeling healthier, of getting back some of that vitality, that spark that a lot of us think we left behind in our 20s.
Okay, I'm willing to bet a few questions are swirling around in your head right now. And the cool thing is, the source material pretty much anticipates them. So let's just go ahead and tackle the big ones head on.
And this is probably the biggest one, isn't it? Can you really still build muscle in your 60s, 70s, or even your 80s? Is there just a point of no return? It's a totally fair question, and it's based on what we've always been told about getting older.
Well, according to this source, the answer is a big, resounding yes. The whole argument is that your age on your driver's license isn't the real barrier. The barrier is how well your cells are working. So if you can fix the root cause, if you can flip that muscle switch back on, then your age really starts to matter a whole lot less.
All right, here's another great question. What about exercise? Do you have to be crushing it in the gym for this to work? Or is this something that could help even if you're not a hardcore athlete?
And this is pretty surprising. The answer is yes, you can. The source actually cites a study on MyHMB that showed it helped people build muscle even when they were on complete bed rest. Now, of course, they make it clear that any activity, even just walking, is going to make it work even better, but the core claim is that you don't need that intense exercise to see a benefit.
Now, this is a really smart question, especially if you've been around the world of fitness for a while. I mean, we all know about protein powder, right? It's the gold standard. So how is this any different?
And here's the breakdown. Think of protein powder as just the raw materials, like a pile of bricks. This approach claims to be the whole construction crew. It says it actively stops muscle from breaking down, that it turns on the build signal way more effectively than just amino acids alone, that it can work even without hardcore exercise, and, this is the big one, it aims to fix the root cause of the problem in the first place, that stuck MTR switch.
So where does all this leave us? It kind of leads to a much bigger final thought, doesn't it? If we zoom way out, could this be the future of healthy aging? Not just treating the symptoms of getting older, but actually learning to talk to our bodies on a cellular level, learning how to flip the right switches to keep our strength and our vitality for longer. It's a pretty powerful idea to think about, for sure.